resin flowing off the table, PETG at PLA temps, and so many Bambu fails. All this and more, PrintFixFriday, episode 74. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here and you're dealing with print fails, make sure to leave a like and get subscribed. Remember, if you guys want to get your fails featured in this show and have me take a look at them, you can reach out to us via all the social media platforms on the screen, slide into those DMs, use the hashtag PrintFix, or email us directly, YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com. We got a lot of crazy fails for you guys today, and it is certainly a Grant Rant heavy episode because I'm having a lot of issues with my Bambu, and I want to tell you all about it. Right after I tell you about us, 3D Musketeers. I just came back from an event. That was a lot of fun. My first public event in a while, at least since the East Coast Rap Festival, where we got to take both of our Artec scanners out. We brought the Bambu, we brought a Prusa Mini. We had a lot of fun. I educated a lot of awesome people. So if you are watching the channel from the Bishop Museum, thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting, as you should be doing. But I had so much fun. I'm like reinvigorated with the passion to make cool stuff. And I love it. And there were people there that wanted to make cool things. So if you are like those people that want to make cool things and you don't want to do it yourself, you can reach out to the pros at 3D Musketeers with over 40 3D printers, some of them working better than others, and over 40 years of combined experience. We can help you make awesome every single day. We also have high-end 3D scanners from Artec 3D to help make those physical objects digital. And I am really excited because if everything goes well, we're going to be filming some really cool content with the Bishop Museum as we scan some of their artifacts. I am so excited for this. I've always wanted to work with a museum. So if you happen to be a part of a museum and you want to get your artifacts scanned, let me know. I'd love to come out and scan those. Now, if you're local, definitely hook you up on that. But if you are out of the area and I have to travel, we're gonna need a little bit of help on that. But I'm really excited and I want to take you guys along for that ride. So that's the kind of thing you're interested in. Make sure to get subscribed. And remember, if you do want to support us financially, kick a couple of bucks into that creator fund, you can do so on Patreon or YouTube channel members. Links, of course, are in that description down below. And at the $10 tier or higher, you can come hang out with all of us in the Patreon Discord server, where we like to have a bit of fun and listen to me rant constantly about my Bambu. There are so many fails that I have not shown here that I've been dealing with that machine. But let's get into that first Bambu fail. Come on. Starting off, more Bambu fails because I, for some reason, cannot get this damn printer to print properly. I've tried stock settings, I've tried modified settings, and honestly, I think it just hates me at this point. This is a 173-gram ball of spaghetti that, according to the AI fail detection, worked perfectly fine. I'm dealing with a lot of problems with this printer. We're coming up on 1 month of ownership, so expect a video on my experience with this printer coming soon. But what I can tell you, this isn't great. The part was literally knocked off the build plate by the machine itself. We can see it's looking okay, looking okay, looking okay, and then, ka-chow.
Wow.
Bambu spaghetti. Again, his palms are sweaty, knees are weak, arms are heavy. There is probably vomit all over this printer. Mom's spaghetti. You all know how this goes. How to solve this? I don't know. Honestly, I could just put more Z-hop in it. Who knows? Because it either makes spaghetti or it just clogs the damn nozzle. More on that in just a bit. And I'm just really frustrated because everybody that I know that has these printers has a great experience with them, and yet mine has been so abysmal. It's truly been abysmal. I want to like this printer because when it works, it makes great parts. The problem is it only works like 30% of the time, and I'm running out of patience with it. I brought it to an event tonight. That's why I'm dressed up. I was wearing a suit earlier. I took the jacket off. It's way too damn hot to be wearing a jacket. The machine failed 2 of 2 prints. It didn't. We're gonna get into it later. Stay tuned. More Grant Rant coming toward the end of the video. Next up, a fail from my buddy Tom, Tom's 3DP. I know this fail so much. He said, well, that took me way too long to figure out why I absolutely couldn't get this roll of PLA to print reliably. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present you Carmine Red in PETG. I have done this way more times than I cared to admit, but hilariously now that we run diamond nozzles on a lot of the printers, This is not a problem anymore because you can print PETG at PLA temps. I'm sure everybody has been there at some point in their lives where they've basically had the wrong settings because they didn't look. And yeah, it's a bit of a small thing, and I kind of like Tom's idea where the spools are color-coded based on what they are. I know that their nylon and polycarbonate spools come on high-temperature outers. I think they're white or off gray, but I do kind of like that idea. I know it requires a massive amount of reworking because they have to now start shooting the injection molded parts out of a different color of what I presume is ABS, but it would certainly stop problems like this from occurring. I'd like to see it happen. Obviously, it doesn't have to happen very quickly, but it would be nice to see. Or something a little bit more obvious that it is PETG. I've made the mistake on spools that were clearly obvious because I didn't read. But I know I'm not the only one out there. Tom, I feel for you, buddy. This sucks. And there's Joel saying I've done it. Will says he stores them separately. We've all been there. It happens. Next up, a fail from Denise. She's got a Bambu issue as well. She's getting zits on her prints. The toolhead is pausing to think every couple of minutes ideas. I put a ticket in with Bambu Global. Haven't heard back yet. I've cleared the SD card, did a factory reset. Firmware is up to date. Any ideas? So this one is actually kind of interesting. This is on Bambu Lab P1P, and we were specifically tagged, so thank you, Denise, for tagging us in all of that. It is useful for me to take a look at things like this. This, I almost guarantee, is a buffer problem. I believe the printer is running out of memory buffer, whether it's trying to read and write to an SD card that is just simply too slow, or the P1P has been shaved down so much that its processing power cannot meet the speeds that the printer needs to have. And that's where these pauses occur. You will see pauses like this in machines that are trying to do things like spiral vase mode that also have enabled their power loss detection. Because what is happening is as the printer is printing, it is also writing the next bit of G code onto the card over and over and over again, so that if it does lose power, it knows where it stopped. With crappy SD cards and machines that don't have that kind of throughput, you end up running into a memory buffer problem, and the printer physically has to stop until it can write the memory to where it needs to be written to. It's kind of weird like that. So I believe that's the problem. I am aware that Bambu Lab is aware of it, and they are currently working on a fix. But that's a problem, right? And I believe Denise is not alone in this on the P1P, and I guess it is more common with the camera, so it would lead me to believe that is more of a processing issue inside of the P1P rather than an SD card issue. I am curious to see because it is apparently not consistent. And this is the thing that I found with these machines. You either have an amazing experience or you battle problems over and over again. So even though I spent money on it, yeah, I can't recommend you guys buy Bambus. I can't. And I know people are having great experiences. I know plenty of people that have gotten rid of all of their other machines for Bambus. I'm not one of those people. And obviously Denise is not either. We got a fail from the Prusa Facebook group. This is a Mark 3S that we're looking at. And the poster says, seems like retraction is not working somehow on this newly assembled printer I sent to a friend. Would you be so kind to help me diagnose why? This is the Benchy on the SD card. Fresh filament doesn't change the result, so it's not humidity. I agree here. We want to start by checking our extruder. If for some reason the drive gears, which is a dual gear direct drive Bondtech setup, are not grabbing the stepper motor appropriately with the grub screw, you will absolutely have this issue. It is most common in backlash problems where it's not loose enough to spin constantly, but it's loose enough to rock back and forth on the shaft of the stepper motor. I'd recommend that you pull it apart, verify that everything is tight. And pulling apart the extruder on a Prusa is actually relatively easy. It's, I think, 6 screws, but it's not too bad. And as long as you follow the directions, you'll be just fine. I do believe this is going to be a grub screw issue because Prusas retract so little, about 0.85 millimeters or so, that I don't think it's got enough time for it to go backwards and for the gear to catch. And in that time, it's already starting to string like this. And it's not wet filament. We can look at this and clearly see it's not wet filament because we don't see any other indication other than it's stringing. So we should be looking at the actual gears themselves. The poster did go ahead and pull apart their entire extruder, but the issue that I am guessing is right there. The actual gear, I believe, is going to be loose on the motor. I'm gonna call it, I believe it is a grub screw issue. I don't think it's a wet filament problem. Flawless filtering session. Remember, folks, resin is toxic. We know this. You should know this, and if you don't, you heard it here first. Resin is toxic, and, well, we've got a bit of a problem. Not only did we spill it on the table, we've got it on our carpet or rug. The floor is easy, right? You can easily wipe that up with a paper towel, clean it with alcohol, and you're good. But the rug, there is really no easy way to get resin out of fabric. And unfortunately, even if you do clean it, it'll probably fluoresce. So if you do decide to have a blacklight party, your friends are gonna wonder what that weird stain is on your rug. It is imperative that you do the best job you can of getting all the resin out of the carpet and then go ahead and cure it, because there's really nothing else that you can do. You wanna pick up the underside of the carpet to verify that nothing leaked through and got on the floor below it. As far as the table itself, obviously paper towels will help. I see we've got baby wipes. I don't know why, but we have baby wipes. I hope there isn't an infant in the area, because clearly safety was third here. A Wham Bam slap mat would solve a lot of these problems. Getting a slap mat, hold on. I've got a slap mat here. The slap mats from Wham Bam are really awesome. They're high-walled silicone mats for resin printing. They make them in various amounts of sizes. I believe this is the Mega, but they're awesome because it would have completely caught this entire spill because it would have been contained on the mat itself. But this is why we recommend a dedicated area for resin printing, a tabletop that you don't care about, and a floor below it that is covered with something, whether it is some cheap plywood, even this queen. Go Dexter on this, right? The toxic resin is going to be a problem in carpet. So you got to do your best to clean it. If you have a carpet cleaner, you can try that, but realize that all the liquid that you pull out is now contaminated, and you have to find a proper way to dispose of it. I don't really know how, but I'm told some municipalities actually have ways to dispose of it. So go ahead and do that. All else failing, try to clean it up as best you can, make sure you cure it, and then, well, other than an awkward stain, still useful. But as far as filtering is concerned, this is why you guys should be protecting your work surfaces. And filtering resin is important, especially when you have resin failures. So I'm glad they did it. I'm bummed that this happened. This one is an interesting fail. We had an individual in the comment section talking about filament that came to them hollow. And I'll be damned, this filament is actually hollow. I don't know what actually causes this. If you guys know, let me know in the comments, because my response was, are you sure it's not irrigation tubing? Maybe there was some sort of blockage in the nozzle that was creating the filament, but this is clearly not high quality filament. Even though it's on a Prusament roll, the filament itself is not Prusament. I can promise you that. But that is really wild. Those of you that work in the extrusion industry, I would love to know what you think happened here. I believe there's a partial blockage of the nozzle, and that's creating an air pocket inside of the filament as it's being extruded. It's not impossible, but I feel like it's really unlikely. I've never seen this one before, and while I don't have a way to solve it, I think it's an interesting fail to show anyways, because, hey, if I thought it was cool, you all probably think it would be cool as well. Next up, a fail from Rod in our Patreon Discord. Rod lives a little down under and had an issue with actually wet filament. This is carbon fiber nylon, and this is exactly what wet filament looks like. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I will give you all the little bits of cavitation, the crazy amount of stringing, and good bokeh effect, obviously, but just look at it. It's rough. This is not fuzzy skin. This is actually wet filament. How do you solve this? It's carbon fiber nylon. You have to dry the ever-loving hell out of it. 70°C for at least 12 hours is our minimum. And, well, Rod did not dry it long enough. The part actually did work for his needs, so he ended up cleaning it up and using it, but do know that wet filament will have less layer adhesion than a filament that is properly heated and dry and all of that. Because I know the carbon fiber nylon can look absolutely gorgeous when it is properly dried. Last but not least, a fail from literally tonight. 2 fails, actually technically 3. I brought my Bambu out to an event. We were invited out to an event by a subscriber, Mr. Platt, who was giving a talk all about the democratization of engineering, but it was in the planetarium at the Bishop Museum of Science and Nature in Bradenton, Florida, about an hour and a half from the shop. So I brought the Bambu, I brought the Prusa Mini, brought both of our Artec 3D scanners, which was a lot of fun. We ended up getting a scan of the planetarium, which I have yet to review because I've literally gotten home and started filming this video. But the Bambu was 0 for 2, technically 0 for 3. The plan was to print a astronaut file, a file that printed out beautifully the night before. But even though our Bambu is on the latest firmware, which updated yesterday or the day before, and we are running the latest version of Bambu Studio, the Apollo 11 astronaut that we were looking to print on it was nowhere to be found. It was not on the SD card, it was not in the print cache, and it was not on the internal storage of the machine. Why? I don't know. It clearly printed it before, so where the hell is my file? They told us that it would be fixed, but it wasn't. Now I'm wondering where the hell my file is, so I had to print the backup, which was a grid fin from a Falcon 9, and unfortunately that failed. But so did the Benchy earlier. Both cases, identical problems. The filament got jammed in the hot end. And when I attempted to remove everything manually, I couldn't because the machine was keeping me from doing so. It firmly just laid down the things that I talked about there. Mr. Platt had me get up and speak as well. And I talked about how just because it's new and sexy and all of that does not mean that it's worth your money. We had an Ender 3, a Voron V0.1, a Prusa Mini, and a Prusa Mark III S. Every printer that was printing completed their prints except for my Bambu. And it only furthered my frustration for this machine. Now, while AI fail detection was turned on, this printer was not connected to a network because it wasn't at our shop. It was in the planetarium at the Bishop Museum, and I'm not going to connect it there. That's their Wi-Fi, not mine. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. The file that I wanted to print, because Mr. Platt is a former NASA engineer, to print an Apollo 11 astronaut would have been absolutely cool, but the print failed both times. The door was open, I used stock settings, and I'm using an approved material. This is PLA. So why am I having these issues? I'm starting to blame the machine because I'm doing everything that I can to do it right. And the machine just hates me, from all that I can tell. In terms of ways to fix this, obviously there's still some issues in the firmware and dealing with the saving of files to the SD card. I don't exactly know what that looks like, but it's the way that it is for me. We will have a stream coming up where I fix some of the problems wrong with the Bambu that are mechanical related, but I'm really hoping that in a future firmware update that we can look at dealing with clogs in the hot end without having to cut the filament by trying to manually eject the filament by retracting it with both the AMS, if you have an AMS, and the extruder. And in the event that the extruder is just grinding on it, allow the user to pull it out manually. Because having to take the entire hot end off and then utilize a printed part to then force an Allen key through it to clear the clog is a little stupid. There are better ways to do this. And the first one is don't cut the filament. I don't really know what to do. I've been really gunning for Bambu. And I know a lot of you will say that I've been incredibly critical of them. And I have. And my exact experience with their machine precisely exemplifies why I was being critical. Because I don't believe they have their shit together when it comes to QC. Clearly, because I'm having these issues. I don't expect every machine to be perfect, right? Prusas aren't getting off the line and every one of them is perfect. Mistakes happen. Problems happen. But when you tell me that there's a fix and it's not actually fixed, I've got a problem. And like, even further, I gave credit to Bambu for their fixes with the firmware. Here's my tweet. I said credit where it's due. For most thermal runaway cases, the new algorithm can shut down the heater to show the error prompt within 30 seconds. Among other changes, this is good to see. Looking at the Bambu wiki, and they've added a lot of nice features, things like reminding you to clean the carbon fiber rods, which is a pain in the butt, but whatever. And they have QR codes take you to the maintenance section. We've got the ability to add cloud cache, which I didn't do because I don't like the cloud having my files. But they said that they fixed the the problem. I don't understand why I'm still having it. That my files are just disappearing from the SD card. It shouldn't happen, and I'm not certain what to do about it. I'm a little tired of having to continue to work on this machine when everybody else around me is having a good time with it. Because I can tell you, my experience so far is exactly the opposite. I'm open to working with Bambu Lab to try to fix these problems. And that's why I'd rather have parts where we can try to fix the machine together, because I know I'm not the only one dealing with these problems. But I will tell you, it's getting really old really fast. I have spent well over the value of the machine in my time alone. My time is valuable, and all the time that I'm putting into this machine is completely a sunk cost for me. Now, like I said, the Bambu paid for itself within the first week of ownership, but even then it still had problems with extrusion. I replaced the hot end, and it still has problems with extrusion. I replaced the extruder, it still has problems with extruding. I've added the piece to keep the PTFE in line. I have cleaned out the entire system. I've cleaned clogs. I've done everything by the book. And unfortunately, it's not there. I wish I had better news, but I should have parts coming in the next couple of days. They weren't here in time for the event, but we will be fixing the Bambu next live. So if that's your kind of thing, make sure you get subscribed and stay tuned. That's all I have for you guys today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and a massive thank you goes out to all of our Patreon and YouTube channel member supporters whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Thank you for all that you do in making this content possible. Without you, I don't think we'd be making this much content, so I greatly appreciate it. If you do want to join and get your name in those wonderful scrolling names next to me, you can do so by clicking the links in that description and join for at least the $5 tier or higher. And at the $10 tier or higher, get access to our Patreon Discord, where you can come hang out with myself and all the other crew. We like to have a bit of fun in there. Right below me will be the entire PrintFixFriday series, where you can look at more of my Bambu fails, along with others. Right next to that will be the printer maintenance series, where you can look at how to fix these fails and keep them from happening in the future. I'll see you guys down in those comments, and in the next one, take care.